Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and how often here on the show do I talk about how much I love businesses that are doing good in the world? That's why we've gone out and we've found an incredible business leader that has so much experience, a lot of vast experience. We're going to hear so many different things from today's guest, so let me introduce him to you. His name is Sahal Laher. Sahal is a global business leader with over 25 years of experience in driving digital transformation and direct-to-consumer growth for iconic brands that we've all heard of, such as Estee Lauder companies, Brooks Brothers, and Deloitte. As a seasoned board member and C-suite executive, he has successfully transitioned from Fortune 500 CXO roles to his current position as the CEO of Stickball, where he leads go-to-market operations and develops AI-based technology platforms. His board experience spans both corporate and charitable organizations, including serving on the board of VeloCloud, which was acquired by VMware, and dedication to social impact through board roles with the Cole Strange Foundation and Wine to Water. Sahal brings a data-driven operational perspective that focuses on elevating customer engagement through analytics and AI, optimizing omni-channel experiences, and driving productivity across global operations. These are things that we all need to focus on, and it's so cool to see how Sahal has been in roles and taken on projects that have culminated in all of these incredible skills, talents, experiences that we're going to learn a lot from. What I also love about Sahal is not only did he grow up in Zimbabwe and he now lives in New England, but him and I both bleed green. He is also an avid Celtics and Patriots fan as well. So we are in such good company here today. I'm excited to learn from him, so I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Sahal Laher. All right, Sahal, I am so very excited to have you here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Heck yes, I'm excited to hear your backstory. So we're going to start there, Sahal. I would love for you to take us beyond the bio. Who's Sahal? How did you start doing all these cool things?
So, my journey starts as an engineer by trade and, around electrical engineering to be exact. And around around my junior year, I realized that, I wanted more of the blend between business and technology. And that's where, I started to pursue consulting. So consulting right out of college, Accenture and Deloitte. And that was, for me, a really great, foundation, learning the methodology, getting a lot of exposure to, getting a lot of exposure to a lot of different businesses and the ability to come in and work with, businesses across many different industries to take this, journey with them in helping them solve their business problems. So that was kind of the start of my career, and I then pivoted from consulting to doing a lot of work with the C-suite, working across different companies, starting with Stride-Right companies, shoe company that had 4 brands, Sperry Topsider, Saucony Kids, and the Stride-Right children's brand. So that was my first kind of entry into C-level roles, led technology for them, and then moved into similar roles at Brooks Brothers, and started to run more of the the actual P&L and owning the direct-to-consumer channel across the brands there, and then moving into similar roles, leading a digital and marketing technologies for the Estee Lauder companies, which was just a fascinating experience with their 30 plus brands and just iconic brands that have evolved so much over the years, and such a deep history with some great products, and now working in a very different industry, trying to bridge a lot of gaps that we see in society and communities really across the world with regards to financial literacy and workforce readiness. So that's my current role. So Stickball is an AI-powered platform that provides financial literacy, workforce readiness training, as well as several other key products and services. We're working with sheriff's departments, in different parts of the U.S. in what's called the Second Chance program, helping folks with their reentry into the community, getting back into the workforce. So super exciting mission-based organization.
Yeah, I really appreciate that overview, Sahal, especially because I teased it at the very top of this episode about the diverse experiences that you've amassed, whether we look through the lens of the positions that you've had from the board to the C-suite positions that you've had, as well as the different industries. I mean, whether we talk direct to consumer or whether we talk about what you're doing with Stickball, you directly called it out as you see opportunities societally that we can make changes. So these are big things that you're utilizing, which you're preaching to the choir here. You're utilizing business in order to make these positive changes in the world. Talk to me about that approach to it, because it just seems to me like through no matter what role that you've been in, you've brought that mindset of, hey, let's reach people in the right way to make positive, effective change, whether it's bringing great products to them or what you're doing with Stickball is bringing a great solution that impacts society. I'd love to get into that mindset and I don't know if it's strategy or if it's tactical or a combination of both, but I'd love to hear that part of your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there is a very, first and foremost, right? I mean, that stems from a couple key aspects. I think the first one is really collaboration and, building relationships, right? I mean, it's building and nurturing relationships to understand, what is it that, is someone's challenge, whether it's a company's challenge, how does that tie back to their strategy, or, what is it that we can do with, different organizations to help the community as a whole. So I think when you look at that, the things that to me are really critical is the ability to come to the table with a very open mindset and, leading with empathy to come in and really walk a mile in someone's shoes, understand exactly what the challenges are, and then, very quickly taking a tactical results-driven approach to deliver capabilities. And I think that's really the key, right? I think people get into trouble when they try to, just lead with technology first. And I think here it's about, technology is going to be the underpinning. There's going to be a lot of things we can do with technology and digital products. But first and foremost, it has to be about what business capability are we trying to bridge here. And I think that's where, I've really tried to focus throughout my career, whether it's partnering with, members of the board or colleagues in the C-suite, or, now working with, such a diverse group of stakeholders. We work with schools, mayors of cities as we provide products to them, and then also CEOs of companies that are using our workforce readiness products. And as I mentioned, sheriffs and their staff that are working with that Second Chance program. So it's really a super exciting world, and I think a lot of this stems from the fact that we find kids really at all ages, right, that are that are academically very smart, but missing some of those life skills, right? Missing, what is financial literacy? What are the important, aspects that I need to focus on as I pursue my career? What is it that, how do I balance a checkbook? How do I go into an interview and, work with people with different styles? How do I handle conflict, right? I mean, these are all super important things that, a lot of people graduate from, some of the best institutions and don't have those skills. And so I think that's really having grown up in consulting, one of the things that I've learned is some of these important skills which really stem from the human element, and it's really there's really no substitute for that. We've come from a industrial revolution to a technology revolution to data, and now AI and other elements. But ultimately, right, we're no closer to wisdom in some of these just foundational elements.
Yeah, Sahal, and carrying on with that theme of the human element, I think it's so important, which people probably don't fully expect or appreciate about your background. Obviously, you are a big believer in the power of technology and the positive force for that, and we're definitely going to talk about AI here in our conversation today, but I love how much of what you share with us and how many of your roles come back to that human element. I know how important relationships are to you. Hearing you talk about the fact that you're interfacing with schools and with sheriffs, and obviously in your career, you've interfaced with CEOs of massive companies around the world. Talk to us about that relationship building. What's at the heart of that? What's your attitude or some tips and tricks that our audience could take from that? What really leads into building those meaningful, impactful relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that is really, a critical piece that takes time, right? I mean, first and foremost, it requires you to, work with people of very diverse backgrounds, and everyone is looking at these business challenges very differently. So I think when you look across the spectrum, right, it's super important that you bring kind of that flexible style and the empathy that we talked about before, to come into these relationships and really listen and learn from these individuals and understand who they are, what makes them tick, what are some of the the critical things that are friction points in their business or in their role, and starting to break that down into small digestible pieces, right? So there was a long time ago a book called How to Eat the Elephant, right? And really that focuses on how do we solve large complex problems, and it's really by taking bite-sized pieces, and that's where I've always tried to take a crawl, walk, run approach, and work with all of these leaders to understand. Sure, you may have a long laundry list of things that we want to go after. The key thing, though, is that we're not going to do anything well if we try to go after a dozen things right off the bat, right? So let's take your one or two most impactful items. Let's deliver some small successes with those, and then let's stack successes to make this all the more impactful for the organization and for whoever the stakeholders are, whether that's employees, customers, or the community as a whole. So that, I think, is such a critical piece, but what's often overlooked in that is the fact that sometimes companies as well as individuals really try to take a one-size-fits-all approach and say, hey, look, I did this and this worked very well for me at organization X, so I'm going to come in and try and kind of replicate that success and create kind of a cookie cutter approach. And I think that's where these organizations recognize that that is not going to work for them, because every organization, look, you can have a retailer, you can have a beauty company, everyone, no matter how similar the product and service they're delivering is, has a different DNA. They have a different corporate culture. They have a different thing that makes them unique, and their value proposition varies. So, in turn, taking that cookie cutter approach and trying to replicate it is not going to be successful. So I think that's where starting to really recognize what are the key differences, what are the important elements of this organization, their corporate culture, their DNA, and how do we differentiate our approach to dynamically create an approach that is going to be most effective for them is, I think, what really delivers that value at the end of the day. So I think people recognize that while there's best practices you can bring to the table, you're not going to be effective by just copying and pasting or taking that cookie cutter approach. So I think that's where what we've seen work and not work, and there's Harvard Business School case studies that talk about this piece and how important it is to really recalibrate your approach, and in every kind of project, even different projects with the same organization, taking that different approach to understand who is that end stakeholder or user or consumer that we're approaching and serving, and how do we make ultimately their lives better, and how do we reduce the friction in all of our interactions with them. So I think that's such a critical piece, and I think like I said, a lot of people kind of lose their way because they try to take an approach that is just very, very very much a carbon copy of what they've done in the past, without recognizing that we have to pivot, and while we can leverage elements that are similar, we have to do that with very dynamically and in a very unique way for every project and every customer.
Yeah, I love that perspective, Sahal. I'm so excited because now I'm really going to put you on the spot here, because I know how big of a fan you are of AI and how important it is to the work that you're doing. But you just introduced us to the very importance, and I'm so grateful that you shared that with our audience, about not copying and pasting, not utilizing that cookie cutter approach. You talk about the carbon copy. And my fear, honestly, here in 2025 is that so many people are looking for AI to be that copy paste solution, and they haven't yet figured out. Obviously, there's all different ways we can prompt it. There's different ways that we can view AI, but I'd love to hear your executive view of how does AI positively move our businesses forward in a way that keeps us away from copying and pasting.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think obviously, some would say the $1 million question, right? Given where the world is going with all of the innovation with AI and machine learning and all of these different new technologies. So I think the key thing here is to again, everyone has to take a very open-minded approach here, right? Because I think there's some fascinating things that AI does. I think it can be a key strategic enabler for every business in every industry. But with that said, we have to take a very thoughtful approach, and there have to be some guardrails in terms of, what is the space that AI is playing in versus, where do we want to continue to have that, the human element or the DNA of our company that is, remains as that kind of key differentiator when we engage with customers and stakeholders. So, I think, a lot of people take a very black and white approach to AI, and some people are in and some people are out. The people that are out have deep-rooted fears about how AI can take things off course because it obviously has a lot of capabilities, but ultimately, right, there's just basic, human litmus tests that we need to apply to whatever recommendations and findings AI is giving us, so that, we're not taking everything verbatim, and in some cases, it may not understand why we're doing certain things or investing in, certain channels or certain markets as growth strategies, right? And, there's an investment that has to be made at a foundational level to grow a business. So it's not as simple as, throw all your money into the highest performing channels and markets. That's an approach, but certainly not, the approach that's going to drive long-term growth and success. So I think, again, the complicating factors here are that AI can do so much, and ultimately, who is the individual in the organization that is going to quarterback all of these different AI initiatives, right? So some larger organizations now have folks in the C-suite that are focused on AI, and that's again an approach that works for some organizations. The larger organizations certainly can handle a role like that and afford to add that additional leadership. In other smaller organizations, these responsibilities may be shared across the COO and the CIO, or it really depends on every business. But so like we said, on the one end of the spectrum have that deep fear of AI is going to derail things for us, and so we're just going to make this mandate that we're not using AI. And then on the other end of the spectrum, leveraging AI in every function of the organization, which again is can be an effective strategy with the right governance and the right guardrails. And so that's where I think you really have to look at where are the parts of our business and the parts of our strategy where we want to continue to have that human relationship that is ultra important in our day-to-day operations that we want to continue to foster, and where are the things where we may have tedious, repeatable tasks, such as analyzing data, looking at different trends, identifying kind of customer preferences and, customer history and transactions. Those types of things is where, I think those are great first places to focus on from an AI standpoint. And, so you have kind of two main buckets of AI, right? You have the piece where AI can help, from an analysis standpoint, whether it's analyzing data or coming up with hypotheses. And then the other one is that's, I think, super important and interesting is, the piece where we're generating content, right? So generating content could be, marketing messages. It could be different creative assets. It could be, any number of things. It could be just be, copywriting descriptions for your products on your website, or helping augment what you do with storytelling and blogs. But ultimately, the most important thing is to, understand, for your business, where do you want to start that AI journey? And again, take that crawl, walk, run approach and have the right governance in place. So as that scales, your AI initiatives continue to be coordinated across the organization.
Yeah, so well said, Sahal. So many real life considerations for us. And it's fun that you and I are having this conversation on the air in front of listeners in over 150 countries, because I feel like the world is moving faster than ever before right now. So we're all figuring this out. And the fact that we get to figure it out together in real time as we try to keep up with the evolution is a fun challenge for all of us business leaders. And it's important because it impacts not only what we do in our businesses, but how we serve the communities, the audiences, the customers that we serve. So Sahal, I want to put you on the spot for this because I've been so excited to hear your perspective because of your vast experiences here. And that is with regards to for-profit versus nonprofit. I feel like that nonprofit term gets conflated way too frequently, that people think that the purpose, money is completely separate from it. But of course, nonprofits, it's not a vow to poverty. It really is a chance for us to use that money directly for that good. So Sahal, you've been on boards, you've been in C-suite positions. I want to hear your perspective on the differences and also the similarities between the for-profit mindset and maybe the nonprofit world.
Yeah, Brian, that's a great question. And I think, the point that you raise here, I think is really a critical one for everyone to understand. And I think ultimately, right, I think we have to come back to what I talked about with capabilities, right? Let's take a capability-driven mindset. What is it that the organization, whether it's a for-profit or a non-profit, what is their mission and their vision in terms of the role that they're trying to play in the organization, the gaps that they're trying to bridge, and the capabilities that they're trying to deliver. And I think when you take that approach, you'll start to look at, okay, what are the key capabilities that I need to build in my organization? So again, I'll take some tools that I learned in my consulting days, which is really around capability maps. And, every organization, regardless of whether you're for-profit or a non-profit, has, various capabilities that they deliver every day. You may be selling products on the web, right? I mean, you may be doing digital commerce. You may be, working with, organizations across different parts of the world to bring and, to deliver clean water, for example. Whatever it is, right? I mean, I think you have to start by understanding what is that superset of the capabilities we want to continue to be great at. And that capability map ultimately, shows what is, our organization all about, what is, everything that we deliver. And, then everyone has to take a very objective look at that and, evaluate themselves, very honestly to say, where do we fall today with each of these capabilities? And an easy way to do it, right, is, just a green, yellow, red type of color coding approach, right, which will ultimately create a heat map of the different capabilities in your organization. And so, you would look at that and say, look, here's a capability we do very well. This is, for us, a key differentiator. That's green, and we're very happy about that. On the flip side, here's certain capabilities where we're doing okay. We're not quite, market leading. There's more work to do. We need to continue to innovate there. Those are probably yellow. And then there's other capabilities where, we haven't really, started to really make much progress at all. And, there's capabilities where we just have significant gaps, and those would be the ones that are red. And I think when you take that heat map and you take your enterprise kind of capabilities or your, organization-wide capabilities, and you look at them through that lens of, where are we, how are we performing, what are the areas where we could continue to innovate, that will help drive for you a roadmap to say, look, while everyone would want every single capability to be green, that's not going to happen overnight. And honestly, the world continues to evolve. So, even the best in class organizations are not going to have, every capability green and market leading. Because the market dictates different things at different points of maturity and evolution. So, I think when you look at it from that standpoint, and again, you kind of, take the elements of the crawl, walk, run approach to say, look, we're going to take, a very focused look at capabilities X, Y, and Z to start. Maybe a couple of them are yellow, one of them is red. Let's go after those. Let's start to bridge the gap there. And then once we do that, then, we'll continue to, work down the other parts of, the organization and what else is in our roadmap. And I think, you have to continue to, the roadmap itself, right, has to be continuously recalibrated. It has to be a very dynamic tool. It's not something that we do today and then, we leverage the same roadmap for 2 years. The roadmap's going to change every quarter, every month, as your market changes, as your competitors do different things, as customers demand different things. So I think, that ultimately, right, to me is, just if you think lowest common denominator of how we go about these, solving these different problems, that is an approach that really will serve you well, whether you're for-profit or non-profit. And again, right, I mean, there may be specific nuances to your business that you have to look at, depending on, which side you fall into as a core business. But, ultimately it has to be about, the customer or the stakeholder that we're serving and the capability or service that we're trying to provide.
Yes, Sahal, we are getting a glimpse into that CEO mind of yours, which I knew you'd bring to today's episode, talking about heat mapping, talking about building out those roadmaps, such important considerations. And I love the really level-headed and grounded approach that you bring to all of this. It shows why you've been so successful in all the different roles that you've had. And we're going to talk about Stickball and the links so people can check out the work that you're working on these days in just a minute. But before we get there, I want to ask you your number one best piece of advice for our listeners. Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all different levels of their own growth journeys, what's that one piece of entrepreneurial advice that you want to leave them with today?
Yeah, I think that, that key piece of advice, a lot of people will say, follow your, passion or follow your dreams. And I think that's good advice, but I would put an asterisk on that and say, look, you have to kind of have a realistic vision of where you want to go. And that has to be based on what is it that you're good at, and what are the things that you enjoy doing at the same time. And I think when you can, find, that sweet spot where not only are you doing something that, you're good at, but you're also very passionate about, I mean, that's really where you should focus, right? So, you know, everyone needs to understand their own capabilities and, you know, at the same time, their own constraints as well. And so, you know, what is it that is my passion? You know, sure that, you know, I may be passionate about certain things where I don't have any capabilities, right? And can't, you know, really impact that space. And so I, you know, probably have to, you know, have a list that I look at very objectively and realistically to say the best, you know, areas where I do my, you know, where I can have the greatest impact is, you know, these areas. And those, you know, maybe pick one or two of those and really master that space and, you know, continue to be a, you know, take that mindset of, you know, continuously learning and improving who you are, both personally and professionally, and that will, you know, I think help you be your, you know, most effective and best self.
Yes, I love that advice, Sahal. I'm so appreciative of you giving us these insights and these perspectives that you've picked up along the way, because impact, it's something that's followed through in all the topics that you and I have talked about today. And what I really hear with those lasting words of advice is finding that intersection of these things in our life. That's what I love about your own journey, is that you love technology and obviously you're at the cornerstone of where AI is going, but you also love business and you also love people and you're so driven by impact. So it's so cool to see how you've combined all of those things to make great things happen in the world. So for listeners who do want to check out all the work that you're doing as the CEO of Stickball, I love the headline at the very top of your website. It says, "Lessons that stick, life skills that last. We meet students where they are." Sahal, you're continuing to do important work, so drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here to connect with you as well as see all the great work that you're putting into the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, stickball.biz, B-I-Z is our website. That will give you kind of a good overview of our different offerings. You know, that website continues to evolve as we work with, you know, different organizations and different stakeholders, you know, across a whole host of different industries and parts of the community. So, you know, super excited about that. I think, you know, I think the big thing with Stickball that really, you know, what I would say are our key differentiators, right? I mean, everyone talks, again, you know, AI, big buzzword. Everyone in some shape or form may say our business uses AI or our solutions use AI. But I think ultimately, right, it's really, again, you know, that intersection between the technology and, you know, the people side that we strive to, you know, look at every day here at Stickball. So every single, you know, capability and tool that we've built has been the result of, you know, partnerships with experts in that particular field. So, you know, nothing that we've created for financial literacy has been things where, you know, a bunch of, you know, academics or engineers or, you know, folks just sat down in a room and said, hey, here's our capability. You know, we started again with that approach to say, you know, we have to, you know, go out into the front lines and meet the people that are, you know, working with these challenges day in and day out, and understand not only what is the challenge, but what are, you know, the gaps in terms of the learning models that are in place today for, you know, students or, you know, different cohorts that are missing the mark, and how do we continue to perfect those. So that's where, you know, we have, you know, very deep, you know, partnerships and really, you know, co-innovation initiatives with educators, different experts in different fields to say, how do we help you do this better? And as part of that, right, it's again a big part of who we are is let's meet everyone where they are. And what that means is, you can talk to a high school senior in one particular community, and there may be someone else that's also a high school senior that thinks and learns very differently. And so if we again take that one size fits all approach, we're not going to be successful. So that's where the key differentiator of Stickball comes into play, which is we start out by looking at what is your learning style? Are you more of a visual learner, more of an auditory learner? What are the things that you struggle with? Where are you from a reading grade level? Because again, we serve very diverse communities. A lot of folks where English may not be your first language, or even if English is your first language, maybe there's other learning challenges and different things that come into play that we have to be conscious of. So let's not just have content that we're bombarding people with that is written at a certain reading comprehension levels. Let's have that ability where you may be in 10th grade, but you may be reading at an 8th grade level. So let's take the content and dynamically serve that up to you at the level that you understand. So again, and similarly, we can do this across different languages. And as you start the journey with Stickball, we continue to, look at every single interaction that you have with our platform. What is, so that's everything from what are the concepts and the modules where you seem to be, breezing through and grasping very quickly. What is the content where you're struggling? Are you struggling with that content because the content itself is challenging, or because the tools that we're using and the different ways that we're teaching that is not effective or aligned with your learning style? So I think that again is a super important part of who we are and what we pride ourselves on, which again is meet everyone where they are, and continue to understand through deep analytics within the platform that are collected and looked at dynamically through every click that you make, and every assessment that you answer in a specific module, or how long is it taking you to do various things, and really comb through all of that information to then say, okay, well, maybe the way that we're talking to you about budgets, we have to take more of a storytelling approach and bring in some more video content. Or maybe for this other person, they already understand the concept, but now we need to give them that ability to work with hands-on simulations, right? So let's create sandboxes and simulations where people can practice these skills in a safe environment. And I think all of it goes to this the vision of having a safe space where people can practice these skills, and instead of making these mistakes in real life and racking up thousands of dollars in credit card debt, work through our budget simulator and our money app to really understand that. And so, when you do get a credit card and you get your first job, you really start to understand, how much can I spend, and what do I have for discretionary expenses versus non-discretionary expenses. There's a whole lot of things that go into that. But again, I think the key is, understand each individual and try to tailor what you're serving up to them and teaching them in very, very dynamic and unique ways.
Yes, I love the overview of all the important work that you're all doing behind the scenes with Stickball. So listeners, you already know the drill. We are making it as easy as possible to find Sahal's work and what Stickball is putting into the world. Down below in the show notes, you can click right on through to Stickball's website, which is stickball.biz.biz. So it's stickball.biz. Super easy to find. You can click right on through from the show notes. We're also linking to Sahal's personal LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to him and continue the conversation, if there's opportunities to partner or collaborate, don't be shy about reaching out. Otherwise, Sahal, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Brian. It was a pleasure.